Hey everyone, this is Jasmine, aka Gladiator in Sweats. I'm actually recording this um, after a shower because that just happens to be one of the times when I can get some of my clear thoughts or clear channels or transmissions or whatever you want to call it. Just special name for things that come to my mind that I found interesting. And so I was just thinking about how to best explain or how to really explain things in a simple way as far as like this process that many of us are going through. And I know, especially myself, I can use some terminology that some are not experienced with. So if you just imagine when you watch a movie, and just imagine like your favorite superhero movie, because that's probably something that feels most resonant with this, but it can really be any movie that you follow with like a character that you have a fair understanding of the storyline or the where the story is going to be going. And so like just take Spider-Man for example, and when you're watching Spider-Man, like the first one, and you see him get bit and you're like, oh man, this is it, this is when he's getting his powers. And imagine that's like your higher self, or it doesn't even have to be your higher self. Imagine that's kind of like your spirit guides, or that's the astral, those higher beings watching you go through your planned journey, or not necessarily just planned, but yeah, your storyline that you came in with. And like, oh, okay, this is it. And in that moment, Peter Parker is of course like, what the hell, I've gotten bitten by a spider, I don't know what's going on. For him in that moment, or not just in that moment, but just to keep this a bit short, when we're going through our transformative moments and really like the most pivotal times in our life, like especially when it's like changes that are like destined, like we're going through a lot of these destined shifts and changes right now. And so when we're going through these times, and especially I feel not just myself, but I mean, we're getting a lot of inspiration or hope, at least myself, from the cards and the messages that I'm receiving, as far as, this is all going according to plan and it's all working out for the highest good. And it's like, for many of us, that affirmation isn't enough. For some of us, it's like, yeah, we can say that, but like my physical reality is not mirroring that. And so it can be discouraging in that light. And so I guess I wanted to just throw that out here and really, when we're watching that movie, to tie it back in, and you're watching the character go through their darkest moments, we ourselves, we're watching it and we already know where the story is going to go. And so we already can have that hope. And it's like, not even just that, but when many of us can get really into our movies, we can like talk to the character or whatnot. We just get involved with the movie, maybe even in our minds. And we can get into like, oh, even when there's like foreshadowing in a movie and it's like, oh, the character didn't see that, how did they not see that, that, or they didn't click those pieces together. That's kind of the same, I feel, position that like our guides and our just our spirit team and just our higher selves, and that's kind of the perspective that they can come from, of like, oh, how are they not seeing the pieces? How are they not seeing the messages that I'm throwing them? Or how are they not seeing how these events are actually lining them up? Everything's lining them up. And I feel like that's this relationship, or there's this dichotomy, or just dual, whatever term you want to use, where we're really connecting to that point, is what I'm really been talking about, as I've been saying, where we're really starting to see things from a higher perspective, where we're really integrating our higher selves. We're integrating that higher perspective, that it's not about knowing every part of the script, but it's about us really coming into the understanding of, okay, this is the script. Okay, like, this is where, we're acknowledging that we've got these quote unquote powers or abilities or gifts, to relate back to the Spider-Man movie, and it's us, just trying to figure out how this all works. What is the point of all this? What is this all leading me up to do? What is my purpose in going through all of these things? And that's kind of the process that we watch happen in the hero's journey and all of our movies and books and literature, just everything entertainment wise. Like, these are all stories and just the archetypal hero's journey that we not only learn about in tarot, but this is something I learned about as a child in one of my English classes as we were learning about the hero's journey. And you learn about, the exposition, and you learn about, the point of climax and all of that storytelling, all of those storytelling elements. Like, that's also interwoven into our own lives. And I feel just the more that we can start to recognize those patterns or see how it all works out in that way, it gets easier, because there's a lot of stress, at least for myself, that is relieved in knowing, okay, things weren't necessarily a mistake. Even if I can feel it as a mistake, or even if it is a quote unquote mistake, that doesn't mean the complete plan or story just is over. The book doesn't just end, right? The story continues, you move forward. And oftentimes those moments are able to be woven into the story back in a way where it actually helps. And I feel like, honestly, like, that's really not the point, but that's one of the most beautiful parts of our stories in our lives, of being able to acknowledge, okay, yeah, that was a terrible time, or these have been some terrible experiences, but I may not even be able to experience such a deep, potent, such a much more fulfilling level of joy and happiness or gratitude for life had I not experienced certain things. And that's just one level of it. And even when we're not even able to see the point of it in our present now, it's just to kind of close it, of us recognizing, all right, so I'm in a movie, or so I'm in the show. Like, anytime you've watched any of those shows where it's like they break the quote unquote fourth wall, that's kind of what this is about. As we're breaking out of the cycles, we're breaking the matrix. And that's what people essentially mean when they say they're breaking the matrix. Like, all of these terms that can make it very fantastical, and they are fantastic indeed. But this is how, as I keep mentioning, how magic can be seemingly mundane, how just our shifting our perspective completely not just changes our experience, but collectively, as we are all mentally shifting our mind to consciously create and intend for a different experience. This is how the collective is able to shift and open and change our experience, which is something that we see even now, something we've been seeing just in the past, 5-10 years, of the shift in the collective consciousness, and seeing how the things we cared about, 5-10 years ago have shifted, and, just our perspectives on things have been opened and widened, and we're really, we're hitting extremes of things, but that's part of the journey of us really finding, it's all part of the play. So, yeah, let me just finish drying my hair and I'll just end this here. So hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I believe I'm getting like all of these thoughts, and all of these things are processing as the moon has been in Gemini, but as it enters Cancer, it's starting to move over my natal Mercury. So I feel like that's also kind of what's starting to happen, is like I'm just really getting all of these like random little insights, and I just kind of wanted to record them for posterity, but also to share them with y'all in case it's beneficial or just something that y'all maybe resonate with. So yep, I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and until the next video, as always, much love and many blessings.